The exhibition presented in the Focus Gallery, titled Carlos Luna, El Gran Mambo, presents a selection of 17 paintings recently created by the artist. Carlos Luna was born in Pinar del Rio, Cuba, in 1969 and studied art at the Visual Arts Institute with the artists of the 1980s generation who dominated the Cuban art scene charged with the spirit of political protest. Due to his political views and personal aspirations, Luna moved in 1991 to Mexico, where he resided until 2002. He now lives and works in Miami, Florida, where his art is becoming more and more recognized for its artistic merit on the international art scene. His art references the Cuban Havana school, influenced by Wilfredo Lam, the European Cubism, the storytelling of Mexican muralism, and even the Latin American Baroque.
Me marcó de manera poderosa, muy poderosa en mi infancia.
What influenced me the most when I was a child were the images of medieval miniatures, the illuminated manuscripts that my grandmother had. They are simple drawings and directly resolve the imagery, or you could say an honest style of drawing. There is a direct and simple use of color and structure from the early Roman period. This was fundamental.
Si fuera a buscar artistas en concreto, hay un buen grupo.
If I were to consider the group of artists who influenced me the most, I would of course mention Wilfredo Lam. The moment I began to translate Lam and understand his art, the sky seemed to open up for me. I saw myself connected to him with the same roots. As a Cuban, as a Latin American, and as an immigrant, I identify with many things. With Rufino Tamayo, he reinforced my idea that you can be a contemporary artist and base your art on historic artistic traditions. Rufino never stopped being a Zapotec Indian, and he felt proud to be an Indian. He was firm on his aesthetic ideas.
Hay otro artista mexicano que es José Guadalupe.
The other Mexican artist is José Guadalupe Posada. He fascinates me. His woodcuts were so powerful during the time that he produced them that he defined Mexico with his art.
Several recurring icons are prevalent in the art, such as Working Man, an image of the Cuban field worker wearing the hat and mustache. This character functions as an alter ego of the artist.
Mi origen es ese.
My origin is this. I grew up in the countryside. My grandfather, father, and uncles are from this origin and heritage. They are the type of people who wear hats, cotton clothing, two-tone shoes, smoke cigar, and have mustaches. This typically depicts the Cuban countryman.
Rooster Man, which is the magical side or the counterpart of the mythical animal of Working Man.
En este cuadro hay...
This piece from 2001 illustrates the time I decided to kidnap my wife, take her out of her environment, and put her in my own environment. In this case, it was Miami. It wasn't the idea to go to Miami, but it ended up being Miami. So what I did was to take the woman from Puebla, a city full of churches represented by this church building. I decided to take her to the jungle, the Miami jungle where many, many Cubans live. In this work, and in the other work titled Aquel incontrolable deseo, Uncontrollable Desire, there is a central figure that I have worked with a lot. This figure is a man possessed by the spirit of the rooster. It takes an action that determines the future of Catalina to become my wife. The tradition of masks in the Mexican culture is very rich. It's alive, and I thought to use a mask as a veil to hide the intention of the rooster man to kidnap this woman.
Elegua, which is the deity of the Yoruba religion, represented by a half-moon face with eyes. Elegua is an incorrigible peeping Tom who takes on the role of witness and embodies the critical vision or destiny of life central to the work of Carlos Luna.
A lo que es Elegua.
Elegua is the child that holds the key to human destiny given by God, watching the behavior of human beings. He opens and closes the pathway to their destiny. Other artists such as Lam have used this symbol. He generally gives Elegua horns, meaning that he is a bit devilish, representing the duality of good and evil, life and death. You could say that when Elegua gets angry, he destroys things like a devil. I prefer to say that he's watching you, and you are in control of your own destiny.
The central masterpiece, titled El Gran Mambo, is filled with power-packed imagery of history, culture, symbolism, and personal narrative. Essayist Enrique Garcia Gutierrez states, Luna's Gran Mambo, his great theater, could not exist without the tragedy and pain of the political exile, which is the blood that gives life to this masterpiece.
This piece grew little by little and really is a summation of almost 20 years of my career. The full work, united together, defines who I am and reveals my fears, terrors, certainties, and happiness. El Gran Mambo is a big orchestra playing. It's a scream, a 24-hour scream representing who I am and how I look inside myself to see all the good and the bad.
El Gran
Mambo is me looking inside myself, hence the structure of the work represents the shape of a big eye. In the middle of the eye it says, "Look at me always," as if I had looked inside myself and then decided to let everything out.
The artist says of his work, "I am a translator of the diverse racial and cultural convergences of our time." These exhibitions would not be possible without the assistance of many supporters, lenders, organizers, and curators. Molaa gratefully acknowledges the Haggerty Museum of Art in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for organizing the Wilfrida Lamb exhibition, and to the Molaa Exhibition Department for organizing the Carlos Luna exhibition. We thank the generosity of all the collectors who lent works of art from their private collections to make these exhibitions possible. Equally so, we appreciate the support of the exhibition sponsors, KCRW, ABC7, Hilton Hotel and Westin Hotel Long Beach, and Cisneros Capital Group of Florida. Most especially, we thank the generous individuals who privately supported the exhibitions as Adopt a Painting sponsors.